Hey guys, it's Betsy. If you've been watching me for a while now, you probably know that I have a service dog. This is Jovi. She's a black lab husky and she is my service dog. She's still in training. Typically you call a service dog in training until they've been trained for like 2 years and then you call it a service dog, but service dogs do require constant training even after they're officially a service dog. You gotta kind of like keep refreshing it because they are animals, and just like constant schooling with kids, like you gotta keep it up. So that is what I have. A lot of people are interested in service dogs and they're kind of, I don't know, like I feel like you see them all over the place now. Sometimes I feel like they're everywhere and sometimes I feel like they're just not a thing. But there's a lot of information that I wish I had when I was first starting out, when I first got my service dog and when I first started training. So I wanted to like share that. And so if you're thinking about getting a service dog, you want to train your own service dog, I wanted to give you a little list of things that I wish that I knew at the beginning of my journey. One of the first things that would have been really helpful to know about in the beginning is Facebook groups. I never even thought to look for Facebook groups about having a service dog, but there are so many out there. Every type of service dog there is, like there's a specific group for it and there's probably more than one. So looking into those would definitely be helpful right at the start. It'll help you get started on the right track, make sure that you're not working your dog the wrong way, and just give you the most amount of tools that you would want. They just have a lot of like helpful information, helpful people. It gets you a part of the community so that you don't feel like you're going through this whole thing alone. When people in your daily life don't really get it, these people do, and they're there to support you and to help you. Another thing that I wish I knew, how bad training a service dog could really exacerbate my anxiety and my disability. Obviously training a dog is extremely hard. You're trying to train a dog to be perfect, and that's really hard to do when it's an animal. Plus you're dealing with the general public all the time. It just puts a lot more stress on your situation than you had before and that you really wanted. Like, you don't want added stress, but it has a lot, especially in the beginning. You feel like the puppy phases and you feel like the training is never gonna end and it's just gonna stay bad, and it won't. It does get better and it does get easier and you get used to it, but it's not for everybody to own or train your service dog or to even have a service dog. Even if you are disabled, it's a very hard, long road, but it's so worth it in the end. Everything that I've been through with Jovi has been so worth it, and it's paid off. All of the hard work, literally hundreds of hours of training, if not thousands of hours of training. But also, like, we're not even done training. Like, she is still a service dog in training. There's still so much more that we can do and that I will do. It's hard, it's not easy, and that is something that I wish I had paid more attention to, was just like how hard it was gonna be. I wish I had known how many more people I was going to have to interact with on a daily basis just because I have a service dog. People come up to me asking to pet Jovi, despite having patches that say do not pet. People use my dog as a teaching opportunity for their kids, but almost every time I go into a store, somebody has to ask me something. If it's the employees and they're asking the 2 questions that they're allowed to ask you, that's fine. Like, I get it, and I like it when they do that because then I know that they're doing their best to keep non-service dogs out of the store. But there's just so many people that want to come up to you and talk to you about their old dog. And just like the amount of people that will tell you about their dead dog, it's crazy. Trying to remain like civil and calm when you're just trying to get through Walmart and people keep stopping to bother you is a challenge some days. There's no quick trip anywhere, and as somebody with extreme anxiety, it was really hard at the beginning to get used to it because I don't like interacting with people. It's very hard for me to have a conversation with someone or make small talk or anything like that. So having to do this constantly was really hard at first, and it still is. The money aspect of having a service dog, it's more than just having a pet dog. Obviously, you need to make sure that your dog is in tip-top condition. If they get hurt even the slightest, they can't work, you need to take them to the vet. You need to make sure that you have savings so that if your dog needs something, like vet-wise, you have it. Plus the amount of training and gear your dog needs Even if you're owner training, you still need to go to classes for like obedience and puppy classes. We did puppy classes at PetSmart, and then we did them through like our local dog training club. They're both expensive though. Like whenever you're taking your dog to training classes, it's expensive and it's time consuming, but it's very worth it in the end, especially to have a trainer on hand and like near you for when you do have questions and problems. But those people aren't necessarily service dog trainers, they're just dog trainers. So when you have dog questions, that's helpful. But when you have service dog questions, that's really helpful with the Facebook groups. So like join in, ask people who have experience, they've raised service dogs before, they've had service dogs. That's really helpful. But training is expensive, so you gotta make sure that you have money for that. Food, obviously, toys. Even service dogs need toys because they're just normal dogs when they're at home for the most part. Their gear is expensive. So there is gear on Amazon that you can buy, but people like to fake spot those, which I'll get into that later. But as they grow, they need new vests, they need new collars. You need to worry about all of that stuff, that they look official and put together and clean constantly. So just like refreshing the gear you're buying, making sure that you're finding the right fit for your team. I've gone through so many collars and like training devices and vests just to see what works best for us. There's a ton of different options, and what you get first most likely won't work out in the long run. So I wish I had just done more research on the different types of gear that there was so that I knew that I was getting the best fit that I could. That's really important to figure out what works best for you guys, because it's not always the same. Also, the number of boots that we've gone through to make sure that we find the best ones that like work well but that I can put on myself. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. People can be so judgmental. That's another thing. People within the service dog community and the general public can just be extremely judgmental about what you're doing with your dog and how you're doing it. Let's start with the general public. People will come up to you and just tell you that you're abusing your dog because you medically need them. People are judgmental. They won't like the tools that you're using. They won't like that you have a dog in the first place. You can't win. It's a little bit of a different thing within the service dog community. There can be drama in the Facebook groups. I don't tend to post in those. I just like to kind of have them around for guidance, see what other people are saying and see what I can take away from people's advice, I guess. But there's a lot of judgment in the service dog community. They will try to fake spot to see if it's a fake service dog. If you make a mistake because you're new and you don't exactly know everything, they will rip you to shreds. Some of them, not everybody. It's hard to find the right group to associate with, but they can rip you to shreds, and they might. So it's kind of frustrating to see how people who should be working together and helping each other can just be so mean. The last thing I want to talk about that I wish I was prepared for before I got a service dog, that I found out right at the beginning, was how people will treat me. I got my dog senior year of high school, and I had moved to a new state and was trying to make friends at various places like school and church. And you may think it was easier to make friends because I had a dog. I thought it was going to be easier because I thought, hey, I have a dog. That's a good conversation starter. People can come up and be like, oh my gosh, your dog is so cute. Hi, I'm blank. What's your name? And I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm Betsy. Nice to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. No. Instead, they'd come up to me. They'd want to pet my dog. They'd ask what my dog's name was. I would say that you can't pet my dog, or yeah, like right now it's okay. Go ahead. But then the next time I would walk in, they would say hi to my dog and not me. They would not try to befriend me. They didn't know my name. They didn't want to know my name. All they cared about was the cute dog that I had. So that was really hard. And it's just nice to be prepared for things like that to happen. So be cautious when you're getting your dog. If you are in a new situation like that, it can be very hard. That is all that I have prepared. That's all I wrote down in my notes. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to help. I'm still fairly new at this. I'm not an expert, but any experience that I have and any advice that I have, I'd be more than happy to share with you guys. It would be good to have like a nice little positive community going here. So yeah, just let me know any questions that you have. I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!